Achat, Shtayim, Shalosh. Oh, Shalom, Shalom, my friends. Shalom, everyone. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon. And I delight in music, and not just cantorial ditties that the Hasidim sing. No, I like popular music too. And who doesn't know songs like Knock 3 Times, Doi, 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 or Candida, or Taya Yellow Ribbon Louder Old? All of those songs, you know who made them famous? The person who is on the telephone right now. He's Tony Orlando, and he's going to be in town. He's going to be at the Suffolk Theater right here on Long Island in Riverhead. That is happening on Friday, June 14th. Go see him. But first, let's listen to him. Shalom, Tony.
Shalom, Rabbi. How are you?
Oh, I am perfectly fine. For once, I'm healthy. I don't have a hernia. I don't have terrible migraine problems. I'm good. How are you?
You know something? Anybody that starts the show the way you do, and starts the way the interview that you do, whatever I am, however I feel, whether I have one little ache in the foot, or if I have one little ache in the hand, or if I have one little ache in the big toe from gout, or whatever, you just healed it by your energy and your love.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, first of all, when you say those things, you actually sound very Jewish. Now, I know you're Greek, but
let me just say something.
Yeah.
I called my father Label all my life. I never called him Dad. I never called him Father. I called him Label. Why? My father had a Yiddish kepi and a Yiddish shahar. I used to walk through the streets of the garbage center holding his hand when I was a little boy, and he was a great furrier, and all of the people at the garbage center, of course, who were Jewish that he worked for at Stone First would say, Label, is that your son Tony? And so from that day on, I called him Label. And by the way, his second marriage was to a beautiful Jewish girl.
Yes.
Out of Brooklyn, Harry Sillen. They were married 42 years. Moved to Florida. My father's the only Gentile buried in the Star of David Cemetery in Fort Lauderdale. That's how much the rabbis loved him. And that's why you heard that feeling from me, Rabbi.
Oh, I'm so glad I mentioned that. I'm so glad I asked. And it's so nice that your father, and you, it's great that you loved your stepmother, that she was a nice Jewish lady. This makes me happy too.
My stepmother gave birth to my brother, who you will see on that stage. On that day, you can play keyboards for me for almost 30 years.
Oh, McMuzzle. This is so good. And by the way, you're going to be at the Suffolk Theater this Friday, June 14th, coming up. So everybody has to go see you.
I look forward to that.
Now, were your parents, be it your dad and your birth mother and your stepmother, were they all supportive of your musical interests?
Yeah, they were. My mother was very much a music fan, but loved her sisters were really should have been in show business. My grandfather played first trumpet at the Desi Arnaz Orchestra. He was the head of the local 802 for Latin musicians.
All right, hold on. Stop right. Wait. Stop right there. I don't mean to be rude, but you now have to tell me, did your grandfather ever tell you any stories and any anecdotes about Desi Arnaz or Lucy?
No, he didn't, but I got a chance to know Lucy very well in the years that I had the TV show. In fact, she became a very dear friend. So I actually ended up loving Lucy in a real way.
So give us a Lucy anecdote of your, I know I jump around with topics. That's just what I do, but I hear something, I got to go there. So tell me a Lucy story.
I met Lucy at the Friars Club. And I remember the thing that impressed me most about Lucy was she was a straight shooter. Lucy was not the person to beat around the bush. Lucy told you how she felt and was a very strong, very stable, strong woman, because I remember her. As a matter of fact, when Freddie Prinze died, she showed up with 104 fever because she loved Freddie so much. And I'll never forget her for it. She came in really sick and sat next to me at the funeral and said, I wouldn't have missed this young boy. It's so sad, and began to cry and show a heart in her that was, that matched and surpassed this kind of stern, stoic, strong-minded woman. and she just felt it as a human being for my friend Freddie when he passed. So I had this love in my heart for Lucy that's very special.
And it also sounds like you were special friends with Freddie Prinze. How did that happen?
Well, Freddie and I were the only two New York-born half Puerto Ricans. I'm a Rican. My father's Greek, and my mother was Puerto Rican. So, and he was a Hungarian. His mother was Puerto Rican. His father was Hungarian. And we were the two young performers with big television shows in Hollywood that knew what Rice and Beans was. With our local pollo is. We had a certain camaraderie that was a brothership. Of course, Freddie's life was cut short. He was only in the business for 2 years when he finally passed.
Wow.
And so he made an amazing impact on the business, comedy and television. And he lost his life and took his own life. And it was a traumatic thing for the industry, but mostly for me, because I felt like I lost my brother.
Now, at the time, you had a terrible drug problem as well. Were you bonded over drugs as well? I mean,
I never really had a drug problem. I dabbled with it.
Oh.
But, I still don't drink. I've never smoked a joint in my life. That's the God's truth. I never was one who liked to get, stoned or I just never did it. And cocaine at that time, for about a 9-month period, I started to use it because I remember, I don't want to mention the performer who first got me started. Hey, you're exhausted. You're here at midnight. You're here 12 hours a day doing this television show. And you're still sitting in a chicken soup waiting to do a sketch. Try this. And he rolled up a dollar bill and I tried it. I got energy. Wow. I don't feel stoned. And so for 9 months, I started doing that. And when Freddie died at the end of that 9-month period, I honestly quit. I just quit because I lost him. And thank God I did. So the loss of his life saved my life.
Wow. And was it really, you had this very, very popular television show, this variety show with Dawn, of course. And it was 12-hour days, like 6 or 7 days a week. Was it really so exhausting?
Well, you don't realize how much that takes out of you. That was a 4-year show, and I have no excuses, but it was a time when I lost my grandfather, who was like a dad to me. I lost my sister, and then I lost Freddie all in the same month. So it was in the same year. So it was a traumatic year. I never lost anybody in my life. My sister was only 21. My grandfather was an idol of mine. And as I mentioned earlier, what he did, he's a first play in Desi's show, and he was a strong leader in my life. And of course, I'm losing Freddie. And, between the tiring of the show, it was a traumatic period of my life. And I used the drug thing in a 9-month period. And I say 9 months. 9 months was too long. If you go to the dinner table and your meal is a drug, you're going to pay a high bill at the end of that day. You're either going to lose your own self-respect, you're going to lose your career, you're going to lose your marriage, you're going to lose your life, or you're going to lose all four. And I was very fortunate that God interceded and took care of me, and I got my senses together and moved on. And my life has been, remember, that's 1977. I'm now 75 years old. I started out this business when I was 16. This is my 60th year in show business. And like you're referring to as a 9-month period in 60 years. That's a sweat beat on my back.
Oh, first of all, mit Mazel McGlick on all these years in the business and being 75 and still singing and still performing. By the way, everybody can go see him Friday night, June 14th, this coming Friday, at the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead. Get your tickets at SuffolkTheater.com. And that's theater with an E.
I'm looking forward to it. I do 145 dates a year. And my career after being in this business that long is probably more lush now than ever. I'm about to take my life story as a musical onto Broadway.
Oh!
So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you can come, Rabbi. It's called Rooftop Dreams, and it takes place from the very beginnings of my life at 9 right up until now. We've written 15 original songs. It's not what they call a jukebox play. It's literally a traditional Broadway play. I had the good fortune of playing Barnum on Broadway.
You were in Barnum? Did you say?
Remember that show?
I mean, well, yeah, I remember Jim Dale from way back.
I followed Jim Dale in. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The show. It was, yeah. And so I had the great experience of that at Smoky Joe's Cafe on Broadway. So Broadway has been an experience that I've loved. And now to think that there's a musical going on about my life.
No, wait, where is that process? In other words, are you trying it out anywhere?
We're about right now to take the show on. Hopefully we open in 2020. And do you know Bob Book at all? Do you know that name?
Bob who? Last name again?
Bob Book.
I'm afraid I do not, but tell me who he is and what he's done.
Bob Book is a very dear friend of mine who's the producer of the show. And Michael Lombardi is my co-writer. He's got 27 Grammys. So right now in the process of looking for a theater to open. I think we'll probably open somewhere in Rolling North Carolina. And so then take it out to Broadway at the end of 2020. And it's looking very, very positive. And I'm very excited about it.
Well, sure. I mean, look what's happening on Broadway. You got the Temptations musical, Carole King, Jersey Boys.
I've seen the Temptations musical, Ain't Too Proud. It's unbelievable. Don't miss it. And of course, Carole King and I grew up together. Carole had her first hit record. And my first hit record we had it together was called Halfway Paradise.
Wait, you and Carole King had that? Oh my God! So what was it like?
She wrote it. I recorded it. And it was her first hit record and mine in 1961.
Oh,
New Yorkers don't Halfway to Paradise real well.
So tell me some stories of the Brill Building years when you were just churning out songs.
Well, if you saw Beautiful,
yeah,
you know that the Brill Building was for the older songwriters. Where Carole started, I started, was across the street next to the Winter Garden Theater called 1650 Broadway. And it was myself and her husband, Jerry Falcon. Johnny Kirshner was our guru. Barry Van and Cynthia Wilde, who was also in Beautiful. And myself, we all started together. Neil Sedaka, myself, Carole, Jerry.
All these Jewish people, by the way, I just want to throw that in there, that you're mentioning a lot of Jewish people. I'm very proud of this. But please continue.
Well, it's very interesting you say that because my business is made up of extremely talented Jewish people. You know, Barry and Cynthia, Jerry and Carole, who wrote everything from all of the Carole King hits to Somewhere Out There winning the Academy Award for Barry and Cynthia, to my second record called Bless You. They all grew up in Brooklyn, in an area that produced Barbra Streisand, them, Neil Sedaka, the Tokens, Jay Siegel of the Tokens, Hank Meckers of the Tokens, and of course the great Sandy Koufax. I don't know what was in the water in that area, but the Lafayette High School and Erasmus, they should produce some great people. And all of whom were Jewish. And still, we're friends. We still are like a family. In fact, Toby Wine, who I met in that, I have a little bit of a cold right now.
Oh, sure. No, that's why you're
I met in that show. Who I met in that office is in my show. She's been with me. Get this, Rabbi. She's been with me 59 years. And she wrote our first hit record, Candida. So the family of Beautiful remains beautiful in my heart. And we still stay in touch together. And so, yes.
I'm kind of wondering if you have any memories of or anecdotes, because I love little stories, and they don't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be, saying bad things or a bad story about a person. I love the good ones too. So any memories?
I don't have any bad stories about people. I love people. I've been very blessed years old. I have nothing, no regrets. If I have a story for you, it's as positive as your introduction to this show.
Oh, well, give me a happy story then about Don Kirshner.
Well, there are many happy stories about Don Kirshner. Don Kirshner, I'll give you a cute one.
Yes.
I remember Bonnie and Sheila had a baby boy named Ricky Kirshner. And I remember going to the bar mitzvah. And when I went to the bar mitzvah, I held this little boy in my arms afterwards. And I gave Donnie the baby ring that was on my finger as a little boy from my mother. And I gave it as I want Ricky to wear this. Well, one day after we were talking about Jerry Lewis, and Lewis comes in as the producer of the show, and a grown man, but Ricky Kirshner. And Ricky comes in, and of course he is the producer and of all the Grammy.
And the Tony Awards too, a lot of the time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what does he walk in with? That ring tied around his neck, a chain. And he said, Tony, I want to show you something. And to think that this little baby grew up to be this gigantic producer all these years, the son of the man who gave me my start at 16 was a wonderful feeling.
Oh my God, you should have saved the foreskin. You could auction that on eBay now. It would be worth something. I'm kidding, a little brisk joke there, but
right.
We're talking with Tony Orlando, of course. Now you mentioned the MDA telethon that people also know you from for many, many years. Give us some, speaking of people who have anecdotes about them that are completely polarized, some negative, some really, really positive. Tell us a lovely story about Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis had me hosted for 33 years. He was my idol. And one of them, one of the big ones of my life growing up. And, it's like Sammy Davis used to say to me, Tony, if you don't have a pitch of Jerry Lewis in you, you're not worth your soul as a performer. And that's true. Everybody learned something from Jerry. He was the most eclectic, most widespread talent of a man I've ever met. No one danced like him. No one could sing as well. He sang great. People didn't realize how good a singer he was. Most importantly, he gave his life to this muscular dystrophy journey that raised billions, Rabbi, of dollars for people struck with neuromuscular diseases. And it was a disease that started for him, that he represented in 1956, when no one ever heard of MTA. So Jerry was an amazing leader, built these hospitals. And if it wasn't for his journey, there would be nothing called the science of DNA, because searching for that one empty, link that causes muscular dystrophy, it's his work that created the science of discovery. Well, now we know how much DNA applies in all of our lives. But Jerry was a leader, a lover of people, and my idol.
Well, but I also it's wonderful that you're saying these encomia about him, but give us a story, something. You did the telethon for 33 years, so there must have been something funny that happened, something goofy, the live TV for 24 hours. Tell.
Well, if you've ever watched the telethon, the story is the funniest stuff that's happened on telethon is in your memory bank, Rabbi. I don't have to tell you how funny Jerry is. And believe it or not, Jerry was he was a serious dude.
Oh, of course.
Off stage was not Mr. Funny. He hit the stage to be Mr. Funny, but off stage he was a serious guy. He was an incredible director. And my time with Jerry was born of a friendship, normal friendship. We didn't walk around with red noses on and be the jokester that he was. So I'm sorry I can't recall any particular instance that was funny with Jerry. I can only tell you about his greatness, which I think is more important.
Or I'm saying, even for you, when you were hosting these telethons and they were live on TV, were there any faux pas? Were there any were there any mini catastrophes that went out live to, a few million people watching.
I'd like to recall that. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem. Well, do you think, and I've been wondering about
I'll
this.
tell you what.
What?
Name me a funny thing that happened any folk on your radio show on Dave Lefkowitz.
Oh, well, gosh, let's see. I've had, you are the different, there's a very famous actor, right, who I was interviewing many years ago, live on this program, and we were all set up, and this person, I'm not going to name names, even though I do every other time on the show. He is known for being very difficult and strange. But he calls in at just the right time, and I do his introduction, and I'm just as lively and funny as I am with you, and then he says, live on the air, I don't think I'm going to do this. And he hangs up, leaving me with like 15 minutes of dead air. That's not a hilarious, I guess. It's funnier to me, I guess, than it is to you, but yeah.
It's hilarious to you, so should we do that for a laugh? Should we stop talking for 15 minutes?
Let's have 15 minutes of silence with Tony Orlando.
And it's not so easy when someone asks you, what faux pas happened? You went right away to a serious moment.
All right, well, I made it funny, though. I spent 5 minutes insulting him on the air because I had nothing else to do.
Did you really?
Oh, of course. I was enraged because this was not a pre-tape. It's like this. This was, hey, we're on the air on this radio station, and I don't have something to fill. Let me fill by telling the world how terrible you are.
Well, thanks for providing. I got laughed out of it now.
See? Good. Now, but do you think, one last thing about the Jerry Lewis thing, do you think it was right for MDA to sort of kick him to the curb after all those years?
No, as a matter of fact, I resigned. I sent a letter of resignation the day that happened. And I was on the phone with Jerry for 2 hours, and he was in tears. And it wasn't MDA, the actual MDA that fired him. It was the people producing the television telethon. And they were rude, and they were mean, and mean-spirited, and they hurt this great man to the very bone to the day he died. No question about it.
Okay. Wow. So I'm glad I asked that other question. And here's something. I always sometimes have to check something on Wikipedia that seems odd or weird, but this might be true because you were a CBS executive for a while, and this might have happened. But this band was with Warner Brothers, so I'm really not sure about this. Did you ever work with the Grateful Dead?
No, I never worked with the Grateful Dead. What you see on Wikipedia is very simple. I ran the music division for Clive Davis, publishing the company for 4 years, and represented many, many great artists in that job. I was a vice president for him in 1963 at 23 years old. And some of the artists that I worked with, to be honest with you, have been unbelievable. I represented, of course, all of the Columbia acts that had publishing songs like Blood, Sweat, and Tears, The Yardbirds, James Taylor. I signed and produced Barry Manilow's first records for Clive as a music publisher. One of the acts in Wikipedia that they named was Grateful Dead. I had no association with that, no.
Oh, maybe because Clive Davis was with Arista, and they were an Arista group. But that is an incorrect.
No, he was with Arista after he left Columbia. He was with Columbia most of his career.
Right, but I'm saying that maybe that's why they made the Grateful Dead connection, because Clive Davis, I think Grateful Dead were on Arista for a while, and he went to them. But you had no connection.
Well, they were with Columbia Records, if I'm not mistaken. So it's while he was with Columbia.
Oh.
So Arista Records, when he went to Arista Records, he made Barry Manilow a star. But I had signed Barry and produced Barry with Arista prior to Clive's leaving Bell. Columbia was called Bell Records. When Clive left Columbia, he then started Arista Records.
Right. Can I ask you a question? Since you mentioned Barry Manilow, let's say when you were an executive and a producer at CBS, somebody like Manilow walks through the door. You hear, just them at the piano doing a demo. How do you then decide? I need to back this with this kind of instrumentation. I need to hire this sort of band to back it, or maybe it should just be piano and guitar? How do you make those kinds of decisions?
Well, Barry came into my office. He came into my office for a guy named Neil Anderson, who was also a vice president at Columbia. He was friends with Neil's wife, and he came into my office and sat down and started playing the songs he wrote. What I noticed about Barry was he had a very distinctive voice. So what I looked for was not just a good singer, a great singer, but someone who had a style that when you turn on the radio, you'd be able to recognize that person right away and their own sound. So I took Barry in, produced his demos for him, then later made a deal for him at Bell, which became Arista Records, and produced his first records that couldn't do magic and a couple of songs before that. One was called Amy, and you just go with your instincts. You see, you hear a sound, you hear a certain feeling, you gather your instincts musically, and you put together a band in the studio made up of great musicians, such as Barry, and he was a great talent, and as you know, went on to an amazing career because of Clive Davis. Clive made him a star.
Wow, and you helped too, because if you had badly produced Manilow's albums, people wouldn't really want to listen to them. So you have to take.
I'm very proud of my work with Barry, and of course my work with Clive for those 4 years, from '66 to 1970, was a joy.
So you have been doing still music. When was the last time you released new music, like a new album? Just if people want to buy one from you.
Say it again.
Well, you still tour. Obviously, you do 150 gigs a year. But do you ever release new music, be it an album, a CD, or stuff online? Or has it been a long time since an actual record, as we used to call them?
The record business has changed, as you know.
Yeah.
And if you went to find a new album from Cyndi Lauper, you went to find a new album, somebody out of the 60s would be a hard thing to find. And I love Cyndi Lauper, and I look forward to an album for her. But, I've enjoyed a career now of I would have happened with 60 days. And the record business is a different record business for me. And so where would I be selling albums? Where would someone go on my website? So what they do is they buy my albums.
Oh, well, your website, yes, or...
And they're out there as merchandise. And I record albums and continue to record. This is my 6th decade of making albums.
Oh, so you are still...
Come to the show.
Yeah.
We have an album there. To buy it.
Well, that's all right. I mean, they could buy it there. And of course, whatever iTunes turns into when Apple redoes iTunes, people could get it there and CD Baby.
There's a ton of stuff on iTunes.
Yeah.
Sure. If anybody has iTunes, they'll find me.
Oh, wonderful. And by the way, the person that you should be finding is Tony Orlando. He's going to be at the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead this Friday, June 14th. For tickets, go to SuffolkTheater.com. It's theater with an ER. Do you have a couple of more minutes, Tony, or do we have to let you go?
Sure. No. Go right ahead.
Oh, wonderful. Yay. So here's a question for you, and I'm sure everybody wants to know, how often, if ever, are you in touch with two ladies named Thelma Hopkins and Joyce Vincent Wilson, a.k.a. Dawn?
Well, Thelma and Joyce last year finished an amazing tour. We did a Christmas show tour, reunion tour. It was called the Christmas Reunion, and we did 9 dates last Christmas, and we sold out both the Sun Arena and every place we worked. So we are still together. We still are friends. This year we won't be touring because Thelma has a brand new television show she's part of.
Oh.
So on Netflix, it's actually has 2, and she's the longest running sitcom actress in history, And so she has a career of her own. I can't tell you how wonderful that tour was. Yes, we stay in touch, and we're still very close friends.
Oh, everybody is going to be so thrilled and happy to, because you know what happens in show business. Even when you get close, then things break up, but you get back together every couple of years. You do tours. You have a wonderful time. Although, please tell me that in your Christmas show, you did one Hanukkah song. One.
So that Christmas show was a Christmas show that was really based on the nativity, and and Christmas songs that were based on the birth of Christ. Christ was my ultimate Jew.
Now, are you still what they call a born again Christian? Because I think in that crazy time of the television show, you found religion in that way.
Sure, I would say that I'm very much a strong religious Christian, which means that I would die for Israel, Rabbi.
What about Israel?
I said I'm a very strong Christian, which means that I would die for Israel.
That's what I thought you said.
When I went to Israel about 3 years ago, it was life-changing. It was the most beautiful country you ever want. You know as well as I. It is green. They made the desert green and flourish with flowers, and it was one of the greatest experience of my life to be in Israel. And
I'm failing here. Yes.
To be a good Christian, you must be able to love and be able to want to die for Israel and the Jewish people.
I don't know if I want to die for Israel. I take a paper cut, maybe, for Israel. Get a stiff neck for a night. Yeah.
Me too.
But now, do you?
If you would die for Israel, I can say to you, honestly, I would.
Wow. Well, I think that's a beautiful thing. And as a religious person myself, of sorts, I'm kind of wondering, do you have what they call, and I don't understand how this happens, a personal relationship with Jesus, or do you just believe in him? Like I believe in Hashem. I don't have a personal, we all get together for golf every Sunday. So what is your relationship?
I have a personal relationship with Jesus. I can say that. And because of that, I had the opportunity of helping raise $10 million beyond Hashem.
Yeah, everything out of your mouth is making me fail. I have to say this, Tony. Oh, my goodness. And I'm also curious that for several years in your career, switching completely gears here, you had a club in Branson, Missouri. What was that? How much of that was just being able to go and sing every night and have a show, and how much of it was like administrative work?
No, there was a club. It was a theater. It was a 2,000-seat theater.
Yeah.
And Branson had many main performers who owned theaters. Andy Williams had his own theater. I had my own theater. Kenny Rogers had his own theater. Newton had his own theater. We all worked in this beautiful town of Branson, Missouri, and all of us had our own theaters here. State-of-the-art theaters, by the way. My theater was a 2,200-seat theater, and Andy's was the same. So Willie Nelson had a theater here. So in the 90s, we all moved and opened our theaters in Branson. I sold my theater in 1998 and went on to the road. I'm much more of a road guy. Although I had the theater from 1993 to 1998, I was doing 400 shows a year, Rabbi.
Wait, that's 2 a day sometimes.
2 a day, 6 days a week, from April to December.
Gewalt. No wonder. Wow, I mean, that sounds more tiring to me than a television show. Yeah. My God. But when you had that theater, I'm just curious, was it like, did you have to do any sort of maintenance work? You were like the landlord, the guy, or did you just, other people dealt with all the stuff and it was just a place for you to do your show?
I was involved in most all the creative aspects of the show. So any new shows that I wrote or any of my people who worked, I had, of course, a 10-piece orchestra and all of the things that had to do with the creative aspect of that show, I was responsible for. But in terms of running the theater, it was done by my manager, Susan Manilow, and of course the people who owned the theater and who built it. And it was in my name. They built the theater. It was a $8 million venue, and it was a beautiful experience. And while I was there, Rabbi, I had the chance of doing in 1993, we put some Post Desert Storm, a breakfast show
Wow. Yeah, I do. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I was going to bring up this idea that you are very and have been for many, many years supportive and connective and generous towards the veterans.
23 years, Rabbi.
Oh.
I had the opportunity of doing a show with Bob Hope, welcome one of our POWs in Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos in 1993, and 1973 at the Cotton Bowl, and never looked back. Never looked back. All I can tell you, it's been an amazing experience, Mike, involved with the veterans. I'm very proud that that little song, Yellow Ribbon, has been a tool to raise millions of dollars on behalf of veterans. Really has been. It's been a great journey.
Well, if Tony Orlando is never looking back, we are all looking forward to seeing him wasn't that a good segue? This Friday, June 14th at the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead, Long Island. SuffolkTheater.com is the place to get your tickets. We have one last question for you, Tony, and by the way, we thank you so much, but we know these songs that were, Bless Me and Knock Three Times and Candida and Say Has Anybody Seen My Sweet Gypsy Rose? What is a song or two over the albums that you have done, either solo or with Dawn, that you wish or you think should have been as popular or as big a hits as the ones that everybody knows? Is there a song or two that we should go find on Amazon or YouTube or on your website that you're real proud of, that you wish more people knew?
Well, there was an album that we recorded, Girls and I, in 1977. It was called To Be With You. It was on Elektra Records, and I was very, very proud. It was on Bell Records. I was very proud of that album, and it didn't do well. Out of that album, we had a couple of hits. One was the remake of Sam Cooke's Cupid, which went top 10 for us. But that album had a side to it that was really special. It showed off, I thought, our ability to do a little more deeper in our musical backgrounds. We were a little more soulful, a little more jazz-oriented, a little more of an adult attempt at that time. And to this day, Joe Cuba wrote a great jazz song, To Be With You, which is it's almost like a Latin, historical to the Latin people. It was great jazz. Cuban songwriter wrote the song. And we recorded in English, and I wish it would have been a hit for us. So I was very proud of it. It was called To Be With You.
Well, it has been an absolute joy to be with you, Tony Orlando. I'm so good at these.
Thank you so much. And I just hope I get just a pinch of your energy and your humor and your outlook. And if I can carry that with me for the next 25 years, I'll live to be as old as George Burns, 100.
No, you should live to 120. What are you saying, 100? You'll make it to 100. 120.
I'll take it.
Tony Orlando, shalom to you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
You too. Bye-bye. Tony Orlando!